Surabaya merupakan kota terbesar kedua di Indonesia setelah Jakarta, dengan populasi penduduk yang telah mencapai kurang lebih 3 juta jiwa. Saat ini, Surabaya telah menjadi kota metropolis dengan keberagamannya. Selain itu, kota Surabaya juga dikenal sebagai pusat bisnis, perdagangan, industri, dan pendidikan di Indonesia. Salah satu kampus negeri terbesar yang terletak di kota ini adalah Institut Teknologi 10 November atau dikenal sebagai ITS. Terdapat berbagai program studi yang meliputi berbagai bidang keilmuan di ITS, di mana salah satunya adalah program studi sarjana Sains Aktuaria. Program studi ini berada di bawah Departemen Aktuaria, Fakultas Sains dan Analitika Data. Didirikan pada tahun 2018, Departemen Aktuaria telah berkomitmen untuk membantu pemerintah dalam mensukseskan program 1000 aktuaris, serta pengembangan keilmuan dan penelitian aktuaria di Indonesia. Berdasarkan data dari Persatuan Aktuaris Indonesia, saat ini jumlah aktuaris yang telah mendapatkan gelar Fellow Aktuaris masih berada di bawah angka 500. Dengan demikian, masih dibutuhkan banyak tenaga-tenaga aktuaris handal untuk mengisi beberapa sektor pekerjaan yang berkaitan dengan keilmuan aktuaria.
Departemen Aktuaria memiliki 3 ciri di ITS ini dibanding aktuaria yang lain, yaitu penekanan pada asuransi syariah, asuransi bencana, asuransi maritim, dan ada kebumian. Dan ini menjadikan hal yang baru di tingkat aktuaria di Indonesia.
Mahasiswa di program studi sarjana Sains Aktuaria akan menerima pembelajaran yang telah dibentuk berdasarkan kurikulum minimal aktuaria nasional dan internasional, serta disesuaikan dengan kebutuhan di pasar kerja. Untuk menghasilkan lulusan yang mampu menguasai bidang keilmuan aktuaria dan siap bekerja, maka setiap mahasiswa akan dibekali dengan berbagai macam pembelajaran yang meliputi keilmuan aktuaria, keilmuan matematika, pemrograman komputer, teori peluang dan statistika, penggunaan software di bidang statistika dan aktuaria, soft skill, serta keterampilan umum dan khusus lainnya.
Aktuaria ITS itu satu-satunya departemen yang berdiri sendiri, bukan merupakan prodi. Jadi kurikulum Aktuaria ITS ini udah terfokus ke aktuaria dari awal. Sisi positifnya menjadi departemen baru adalah kami sering mendapatkan fasilitas-fasilitas yang tidak didapatkan oleh teman-teman di departemen lain. Misalnya kuliah tamu yang rutin di awal semester, fasilitas yang cukup memadai, dan juga kemudahan di dalam akademik.
Bidang yang saya senangi di aktuaria adalah ekonomi, programming, serta aktuaria itu sendiri. Mengapa? Karena saya sangat tertarik untuk meningkatkan ekonomi di Indonesia dengan cara mengurangi resiko tinggi yang diambil dari suatu perusahaan. Selain itu, ITS juga selalu mengembangkan jurusan aktuaria mulai dari akademik, non-akademik, fasilitas, hingga dosen yang selalu ditingkatkan tingkat pendidikannya agar kami dapat bersaing dengan aktuaris di seluruh dunia.
Guna menunjang kegiatan belajar dan mengajar maupun penelitian bagi dosen dan mahasiswa, Departemen Aktuaria telah dilengkapi dengan berbagai macam fasilitas yang meliputi beberapa ruang kelas dengan kapasitas sampai dengan 50 orang mahasiswa per kelasnya. Laboratorium aktuaria yang dapat digunakan untuk menunjang penelitian dan pembelajaran di bidang komputasi aktuaria, perpustakaan, yang dapat digunakan bagi mahasiswa untuk mencari buku-buku referensi dan berdiskusi. Gedung Menara Sains yang dapat digunakan untuk menunjang kegiatan mahasiswa di luar kegiatan perkuliahan. Departemen Aktuaria ITS siap melahirkan aktuaris muda yang berkompeten serta siap terlibat dalam industri asuransi di Indonesia.
Bergabunglah bersama kami di Aktuaria, 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 Aktuaria.
Aktuaria ITS.
Surabaya merupakan kota terbesar kedua di Indonesia setelah Jakarta. Dengan populasi penduduk yang telah mencapai kurang lebih 3 juta jiwa. Saat ini, Surabaya telah menjadi kota metropolis dengan keberagamannya. Selain itu, kota Surabaya juga dikenal sebagai pusat bisnis, perdagangan, industri, dan pendidikan di Indonesia. Salah satu kampus negeri terbesar yang terletak di kota ini adalah Institut Teknologi 10 November atau dikenal sebagai ITS. Terdapat berbagai program studi yang meliputi berbagai bidang keilmuan di ITS, di mana salah satunya adalah program studi sarjana Sains Aktuaria. Program studi ini berada di bawah Departemen Aktuaria, Fakultas Sains dan Analitika Data. Didirikan pada tahun 2018, Departemen Aktuaria telah berkomitmen untuk membantu pemerintah dalam mensukseskan program 1000 aktuaris, serta pengembangan keilmuan dan penelitian aktuaria di Indonesia. Berdasarkan data dari Persatuan Aktuaris Indonesia, saat ini jumlah aktuaris yang telah mendapatkan gelar Fellow Aktuaris masih berada di bawah angka 500. Dengan demikian, masih dibutuhkan banyak tenaga-tenaga aktuaris handal untuk mengisi beberapa sektor pekerjaan yang berkaitan dengan keilmuan aktuaria.
Departemen Aktuaria mempunyai 3 ciri di ITS ini dibanding aktuaria yang lain, yaitu penekanan pada asuransi syariah, asuransi bencana, asuransi maritim, dan ada kebumian. Dan ini menjadikan hal yang baru di tingkat aktuaria di Indonesia.
Mahasiswa di program studi Sarjana Sains Aktuaria akan menerima pembelajaran yang telah dibentuk berdasarkan kurikulum minimal aktuaria nasional dan internasional, serta disesuaikan dengan kebutuhan di pasar kerja. Untuk menghasilkan lulusan yang mampu menguasai bidang keilmuan aktuaria dan siap bekerja, maka setiap mahasiswa akan dibekali dengan berbagai macam pembelajaran yang meliputi keilmuan aktuaria, keilmuan matematika, pemrograman komputer, teori peluang dan statistika, penggunaan software di bidang statistika dan aktuaria, soft skill, serta keterampilan umum dan khusus lainnya.
Aktuaria ITS itu satu-satunya departemen yang berdiri sendiri, bukan merupakan prodi. Jadi kurikulum Aktuaria ITS ini udah terfokus ke aktuaria dari awal. Sisi positifnya menjadi departemen baru adalah kami sering mendapatkan fasilitas-fasilitas yang tidak didapatkan oleh teman-teman di departemen lain. Misalnya kuliah tamu yang rutin di awal semester, fasilitas yang cukup memadai, dan juga kemudahan di dalam akademik.
Bidang yang saya senangi di aktuaria adalah ekonomi, programming, serta aktuaria itu sendiri. Mengapa? Karena saya sangat tertarik untuk meningkatkan ekonomi di Indonesia dengan cara mengurangi resiko tinggi yang diambil dari suatu perusahaan. Selain itu, ITS juga selalu mengembangkan jurusan aktuaria mulai dari akademik, non-akademik, fasilitas, hingga dosen yang selalu ditingkatkan tingkat pendidikannya agar kami dapat bersaing dengan aktuaris di seluruh dunia.
Guna menunjang kegiatan belajar dan mengajar maupun penelitian bagi dosen dan mahasiswa, Departemen Aktuaria telah dilengkapi dengan berbagai macam fasilitas yang meliputi beberapa ruang kelas dengan kapasitas sampai dengan 50 orang mahasiswa per kelasnya, laboratorium aktuaria yang dapat digunakan untuk menunjang penelitian dan pembelajaran di bidang komputasi aktuaria, perpustakaan yang dapat digunakan bagi mahasiswa untuk mencari buku-buku referensi dan berdiskusi, gedung menara sains yang dapat digunakan untuk menunjang kegiatan mahasiswa di luar kegiatan perkuliahan. Departemen Aktuaria ITS siap melahirkan aktuaris muda yang berkompeten serta siap terlibat dalam industri asuransi di Indonesia.
Bergabunglah bersama kami di Aktuaria
ITS.
Surabaya merupakan kota terbesar kedua di Indonesia setelah Jakarta, dengan populasi penduduk yang telah mencapai kurang lebih 3 juta jiwa. Saat ini, Surabaya telah menjadi kota metropolis dengan keberagamannya. Selain itu, kota Surabaya juga dikenal sebagai pusat bisnis, perdagangan, industri, dan pendidikan di Indonesia. Salah satu kampus negeri terbesar yang terletak di kota ini adalah Institut Teknologi 10 November atau dikenal sebagai ITS. Terdapat berbagai program studi yang meliputi berbagai bidang keilmuan di ITS, di mana salah satunya adalah program studi sarjana Sains Aktuaria. Program studi ini berada di bawah Departemen Aktuaria, Fakultas Sains dan Analitika Data. Didirikan pada tahun 2018, Departemen Aktuaria telah berkomitmen untuk membantu pemerintah dalam mensukseskan program 1000 aktuaris serta pengembangan keilmuan dan penelitian aktuaria di Indonesia. Berdasarkan data dari Persatuan Aktuaris Indonesia, saat ini jumlah aktuaris yang telah mendapatkan gelar Fellow Aktuaris masih berada di bawah angka 500. Dengan demikian, masih dibutuhkan banyak tenaga-tenaga aktuaris handal untuk mengisi beberapa sektor pekerjaan yang berkaitan dengan keilmuan aktuaria.
Departemen Aktuaria mempunyai 3 ciri di ITS ini dibanding aktuaria yang lain, yaitu penekanan pada asuransi syariah, asuransi bencana, asuransi maritim, dan ada kebumian. Dan ini menjadikan hal yang baru di tingkat aktuaria di Indonesia.
Mahasiswa di program studi sarjana Sains Aktuaria akan menerima pembelajaran yang telah dibentuk berdasarkan kurikulum minimal aktuaria nasional dan internasional, serta disesuaikan dengan kebutuhan di pasar kerja. Untuk menghasilkan lulusan yang mampu menguasai bidang keilmuan aktuaria dan siap bekerja, maka setiap mahasiswa akan dibekali dengan berbagai macam pembelajaran yang meliputi keilmuan aktuaria, keilmuan matematika, pemrograman komputer, teori peluang dan statistika, penggunaan software di bidang statistika dan aktuaria, soft skill, serta keterampilan umum dan khusus lainnya.
Aktuaria ITS itu satu-satunya departemen yang berdiri sendiri, bukan merupakan prodi. Jadi kurikulum Aktuaria ITS ini udah terfokus ke aktuaria dari awal. Sisi positifnya menjadi departemen baru adalah kami sering mendapatkan fasilitas-fasilitas yang tidak didapatkan oleh teman-teman di departemen lain. Misalnya kuliah tamu yang rutin di awal semester, fasilitas yang cukup memadai, dan juga kemudahan di dalam akademik.
Bidang yang saya senangi di aktuaria adalah ekonomi, programming, serta aktuaria itu sendiri. Mengapa? Karena saya sangat tertarik untuk meningkatkan ekonomi di Indonesia dengan cara mengurangi resiko tinggi yang diambil dari suatu perusahaan. Selain itu, ITS juga selalu mengembangkan jurusan aktuaria mulai dari akademik, non-akademik, fasilitas, hingga dosen yang selalu ditingkatkan tingkat pendidikannya agar kami dapat bersaing dengan aktuaris di seluruh dunia.
Guna menunjang kegiatan belajar dan mengajar maupun penelitian bagi dosen dan mahasiswa, Departemen Aktuaria telah dilengkapi dengan berbagai macam fasilitas yang meliputi beberapa ruang kelas dengan kapasitas sampai dengan 50 orang mahasiswa per kelasnya, laboratorium aktuaria yang dapat digunakan untuk menunjang penelitian dan pembelajaran di bidang komputasi aktuaria, perpustakaan yang dapat digunakan bagi mahasiswa untuk mencari buku-buku referensi dan berdiskusi, gedung menara sains yang dapat digunakan untuk menunjang kegiatan mahasiswa di luar kegiatan perkuliahan. Departemen Aktuaria ITS siap melahirkan aktuaris muda yang berkompeten serta siap terlibat dalam industri asuransi di Indonesia.
Bergabunglah bersama kami di Aktuaria
ITS. Assalamualaikum Pak Dekan.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Pak Ade, mohon maaf baru selesai rapatnya.
Alhamdulillah, maturun Pak Dekan. Nggih.
Iya,
Surabaya merupakan kota terbesar kedua di Indonesia dengan populasi penduduk yang telah mencapai kurang lebih 3 juta jiwa. Saat ini, Surabaya telah menjadi kota metropolis dengan keberagamannya. Selain itu, kota Surabaya juga dikenal sebagai pusat bisnis, perdagangan, industri, dan pendidikan di Indonesia. Salah satu ITS. Terdapat berbagai program studi yang meliputi berbagai bidang keilmuan di ITS, di mana salah satunya adalah program studi sarjana Sains Aktuaria. Program studi ini berada di bawah Departemen Aktuaria, Fakultas Sains dan Analitika Data. Didirikan pada tahun 2018, Departemen Aktuaria telah berkomitmen untuk membantu pemerintah dalam mensukseskan program 1000 aktuaris, serta pengembangan keilmuan dan penelitian aktuaria di Indonesia. Berdasarkan data dari Persatuan Aktuaris Indonesia, saat ini jumlah aktuaris yang telah mendapatkan gelar Fellow Aktuaris masih berada di bawah angka 500. Dengan demikian, masih dibutuhkan banyak tenaga-tenaga aktuaris handal untuk mengisi beberapa sektor pekerjaan yang berkaitan dengan keilmuan aktuaria.
Departemen Aktuaria mempunyai 3 ciri di ITS ini dibanding aktuaria yang lain, yaitu penekanan pada asuransi syariah, asuransi bencana, asuransi maritim, dan ada kebumian. Dan ini menjadikan hal yang baru di tingkat aktuaria di Indonesia.
Mahasiswa di program studi sarjana Sains Aktuaria akan menerima pembelajaran yang telah dibentuk berdasarkan kurikulum minimal aktuaria nasional dan internasional, serta disesuaikan dengan kebutuhan di pasar kerja. Untuk menghasilkan lulusan yang mampu menguasai bidang keilmuan aktuaria dan siap bekerja, maka setiap mahasiswa akan dibekali dengan berbagai macam pembelajaran yang meliputi keilmuan aktuaria, keilmuan matematika, pemrograman komputer, teori peluang dan statistika, penggunaan software di bidang statistika dan aktuaria, soft skill, serta keterampilan umum dan khusus lainnya.
Aktuaria ITS itu satu-satunya departemen yang berdiri sendiri, bukan merupakan prodi. Jadi kurikulum Aktuaria ITS ini udah terfokus ke aktuaria dari awal. Sisi positifnya menjadi departemen baru adalah kami sering mendapatkan fasilitas-fasilitas yang tidak didapatkan oleh teman-teman di departemen lain. Misalnya kuliah tamu yang rutin di awal semester, fasilitas yang cukup memadai, dan juga kemudahan di dalam akademik.
Bidang yang saya senangi di aktuaria adalah ekonomi, programming, serta aktuaria itu sendiri. Mengapa? Karena saya sangat tertarik untuk meningkatkan ekonomi di Indonesia dengan cara mengurangi resiko tinggi yang diambil dari suatu perusahaan. Selain itu, ITS juga selalu mengembangkan jurusan aktuaria mulai dari akademik, non-akademik, fasilitas, hingga dosen yang selalu ditingkatkan tingkat pendidikannya agar kami dapat bersaing dengan aktuaris di seluruh dunia.
Guna menunjang kegiatan belajar dan mengajar maupun penelitian bagi dosen dan mahasiswa, Departemen Aktuaria telah dilengkapi dengan berbagai macam fasilitas yang meliputi beberapa ruang kelas dengan kapasitas sampai dengan 50 orang mahasiswa per kelasnya. Laboratorium Aktuaria yang dapat digunakan untuk menunjang penelitian dan pembelajaran di bidang komputasi aktuaria. Perpustakaan yang dapat digunakan bagi mahasiswa untuk mencari buku-buku referensi dan berdiskusi. Gedung Menara Sains yang dapat digunakan untuk menunjang kegiatan mahasiswa di luar kegiatan perkuliahan.
Attention to all participants. Hello everyone, good afternoon, and best wishes to all of us. Thank you for attending our International Guest Lecture Series episode 5 today. Before we start our agenda, allow me to deliver our schedule today as follows. First, introduction and welcome session. Second, lecture section. Third, Q&A session. And fourth, closing. Greeting to all audiences, the Honorable Professor Hamzah Kansuri, as Head of Faculty of Science, ITS, Mr. Suarjupri, MSI, Head of Actual Science Department, ITS, Professor Mira Kartiwi from International Islamic University, Malaysia, as our speaker, and all the audiences. I'm Siska Widya Sundari from Actual Science as your Master of Ceremony for today's session. And I would like to say welcome to International Guest Lecture Series of Episode 5 on today, Thursday, 12th of October 2023. Participants who wish to ask and during the Q&A session, please raise your hand and ask the question after being allowed by the moderator. Okay, everyone, today's lecture's theme is about machine learning on financial industry, which will be delivered by our speaker, Professor Mira Kartiwi, and Bunia will be the one conducting today's session as our moderator. To begin with, let's sing Indonesia's national anthem, Indonesia Raya, and to all participants, please be attentive.
Tanah airku, tanah tumpah darahmu, di sanalah aku berdiri, jadi pandu hidupku. Indonesia kebangsaanku, bangsa dan tanah airku. Marilah kita bersatu, Indonesia bersatu. Hiduplah tanahku, hiduplah negeriku, bangsaku, rakyatku semuanya. Bangunlah jiwanya, bangunlah badannya, untuk Indonesia Raya. Indonesia Raya, merdeka, merdeka, tanahku, negeriku yang ku cinta. Indonesia Raya, merdeka, merdeka, hiduplah Indonesia Raya. Indonesia Raya, merdeka, merdeka, tanahku, negeriku yang ku cinta. Indonesia Materku yang kucinta, ibu yang
And the following agenda is the opening remark from Dean of Faculty of Science ITS to Professor Hamzah Hamsuri. The time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang, salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Yang terhormat Profesor Mira. Profesor Mira, may I speak in Bahasa Indonesia or you can have both? Yeah. So it's okay, fine ya. Ya. Yang terhormat Bapak Kepala Departemen Aktuaria, Dr. Suharjupri. Yang terhormat, di sini saya lihat ada Sekretaris Departemen Aktuaria, Dr. Muhammad Ato, Bapak Ibu dosen, serta maupun yang saya cintai juga adalah mahasiswa khususnya mahasiswa Aktuaria ITS, dan juga mahasiswa dari departemen lain maupun dari universitas lain di luar ITS yang bahagia. Alhamdulillah siang hari ini kita semua kedatangan tamu luar biasa ini, Profesor Mira Kartiwi. From the names, I can guess that Prof. Mira is Indonesian, isn't it?
Yes, I am.
But she did all the bachelor, master, and doctoral degree in Wollongong, in Australia, especially in the Wollongong University. It's been very nice to meet you, Professor Mira, and Prof. Mira now is the professor at International Islamic University of Malaysia. Ya, siang ini tentu kami semua bergembira ya, senang didatangi oleh Prof. Mira walaupun secara daring ya, dan jaringan secara online. Tapi kami melihat bahwa Prof. Mira ini memang ahlinya ahli ya, the expert in the area of what is it? Apa bidang ahli Bu Mira ini, ini ya. Kalau lihat dari doktoratnya filosofi ekonomi dan informasi sistem ya di Universitas Islam Internasional Malaysia. Nah, sebagai informasi saja Prof Mira bahwa Actuarial Department ini, Departemen Aktuaria ini baru dibuka tahun 2018 ya. Pada saat itu memang pemerintah menggalakkan bukan program studi aktuaria. Nah, jika di universitas yang lain itu dibuka dalam bentuk program studi, di ITS ini ya dibuat menjadi departemen yang di dalam ada program studi sarjana sains aktuaria. Nah, departemen ini kedepannya diproyeksikan akan berkembang, tidak hanya program studi S1 atau sarjana atau bachelor, tapi ya tentunya diinginkan sampai lengkap S1, S2, dan S3. Nah, pendirian program studi sains aktuaria ini juga berdasarkan kebutuhan Indonesia ya saat itu ya, yang diperkirakan pada saat itu dibutuhkan sekitar 3.600-an aktuaris di Indonesia, yang mana itu kalau Indonesia tidak segera membuka program studi sains aktuaria, maka itu lowongan tersebut akan diisi oleh alumni graduates dari minimal seluruh Asia Tenggara, karena kita sudah punya perjanjian MEM, Masyarakat Ekonomi Asia ya. Nah, oleh karena itu ini aktuaria ini waktu itu dibuka, dan dengan kerja keras dari Pak Kadep kita, Pak Samsupri dan tim, ini bisa dimulai tahun 2018 dan sudah menghasilkan lulusan ya, yang sangat membanggakan. Salah satu dari lulusan itu masih fresh graduate tapi gajinya sudah 50 juta rupiah per bulan, Prof Mira. Jadi luar biasa ya aktuaria ini. Jadi walaupun masih muda ya, tapi aktuaria sains ini di ITS sangat-sangat terkenal ya, dari segi keketatan penerimaan ini sangat tinggi, termasuk top 10 ya, bukan top 10, top 10, tapi top 10% ya di ITS, ya, termasuk yang paling susah ya. Jadi mahasiswa aktuaria ini adalah mahasiswa pilihan ya, pandai-pandai, baik-baik semua ya, masa depannya insya Allah sangat cerah. Nah, kami semua tentu juga perlu juga meluaskan wawasan ya. Oleh karena itu Actuarial Science ini kami proyeksikan agar segera menginternasional, dan alhamdulillah kami sudah punya program double degree dengan Actuarial Science di Curtin University of Technology, begitu ya. Ya, barangkali nanti Prof Mira can help us to bridge the connection with Wollongong University ya. Probably yeah, because you have a very long story with Wollongong, as I have also a very long story with Curtin University where I did my doctoral studies and extend for 2 years more, accompanying my wife, who also did a PhD at Curtin University. So this webinar at Actuarial Science Department is several webinar already, and will be continuous until at the end of the years. Actuarial Science is the most active department in FSID, Faculty of Science and Data Analytics, in doing webinar, seminars, yeah, which is related to the study program Actuarial Science. Ya, congratulations, selamat Pak Jepri. Ya, ini aktuaria memang paling aktif ya melakukan kegiatan seperti ini. Mohon dipertahankan. Dan Actuarial Science also invites many distinguished speakers, distinguished presenters to present as our invited speakers. But of course, I am as a dean also very welcome to Prof Mira. If one day you would like to come to Surabaya and stay for a couple of days or even weeks, yeah, to share more about your expertise, yeah, and actual department of actual science, very happy to give you support. I believe ya Pak Kadep will give you support at least really provide accommodations and also return airfare to Surabaya. Of course, it's not the business class or VIP class airfare, but yes, it is economic class, but the best economic class. For today workshops, Dr. Professor Mira will give machine learning on financial industry. This is a very hot topic. I think machine learning is in line with artificial intelligence and so on. The information, also the knowledge that will be given, and also we will learn this afternoon is very important for us. Machine learning, artificial intelligence is coming to us, yeah, becomes very important. Not only tools probably, ya. Kalau kita tidak hati-hati, nanti bisa-bisa kita yang dikendalikan oleh artificial intelligence, ya. Prof. Mira, just for your information as well, ITS punya motto, advancing humanity. Motto ini adalah salah satu antisipasi kami ITS, ya, agar dalam kemajuan teknologi apapun itu, kita tetap mengutamakan, memajukan, mengedepankan kemanusiaan. Sisi kemanusiaan itu harus terbuka. Dengan demikian kita punya garis batas yang jelas antara artificial intelligence dengan kemanusiaan. Sebab kalau kita tidak mengedepankan kemanusiaan, nanti seperti katakan tadi, suatu saat mungkin kita akan dikuasai oleh artificial intelligence tersebut, ya. Sehingga saat itu ya kita sangat tidak menghendakinya, ya. Nah, walaupun demikian sebagai tools tentu artificial intelligence adalah tools yang sangat-sangat membantu, ya, dari segi positif. Tapi ada juga mungkin peluang-peluang yang negatif bagi kita. Nah, mudah-mudahan nanti ini di sini Prof. Mira dapat berbagi pada kita semua, bukan hanya sekedar machine learning, artificial intelligence, tapi juga forecasting, juga ramalan ke depannya itu bagaimana kita dengan perkembangan teknologi perkembangan zaman yang ada ini. Ya, tentu harapannya manusia tetap menjadi khalifah di muka bumi ini, jadi pimpinan di muka bumi ini, bukan menjadi yang dipimpin apalagi oleh artificial intelligence, oleh mesin. Tapi kita menggunakan mesin, kita menggunakan machine learning, kita menggunakan artificial intelligence untuk memudahkan urusan-urusan yang kita perlukan untuk membuat agar kita dapat hidup layak, ya, sejahtera, aman di bumi ini, ya, untuk supaya kita dapat menjalankan kewajiban-kewajiban kita kepada Sang Pencipta. Nah, ini sudah cukup panjang sambutan dari saya. Terakhir saya berikan sekali lagi selamat datang Prof. Mira sebagai dekan ITS, sekaligus juga dekan FSAD ITS, sekaligus juga mewakili ITS. Kami mengucapkan terima kasih yang sebesar-besarnya atas Prof. Mira menjadi narasumber, ya, pada webinar siang hari ini. Bagi peserta, kami berharap kita semua bisa menyerap ilmu, pengalaman, dan kepakaran dari Prof. Mira ini untuk meningkatkan wawasan, meningkatkan pengetahuan, dan yang tidak kalah penting adalah meningkatkan jejaring. Ya, tentu ini bukan yang pertama dan terakhir, tapi ini adalah yang awal, di mana nanti ke depan kita akan masih melanjutkan dengan kegiatan-kegiatan yang serupa, yang lebih berkualitas, dengan kualitas lebih baik, dan bahkan nanti ada kerjasama lain, ya, Prof. Mira. Di ITS ini, di Fakultas Sains Aktuaria ini, dosen-dosennya yang sudah dokter baru 2 orang, 1 sedang studi S3, masih ada 9 ya Pak Jepri, yang saya pecuti terus agar segera ambil S3. Mudah-mudahan nanti ada 1-2 orang atau lebih yang dapat bergabung dengan Prof. Mira, ya, untuk dididik menjadi dokter. Dan nanti kembali ke Malaysia adalah negara jiran kita, sangat dekat dari culture, dari budaya, makanan, tidak masalah ya. Dan return flight Surabaya ke Malaysia pada sebuah kota itu tidak terlalu mahal ya, bahkan ada bahkan lebih murah dari biaya tiket pesawat antar kota di Indonesia. Demikian, mohon maaf kalau ada kata-kata yang tidak tepat, ada kata yang keliru ya, mohon dimaafkan. Mudah-mudahan ini upaya yang positif ini dengan niat yang baik menghasilkan output yang jauh lebih baik lagi. Selamat jadi pada Departemen Sains Aktuaria, selamat mengikuti kuliah siang hari ini. Mohon diikuti dengan sebaik-baik mungkin, seraplah ilmu, pengetahuan, dan pengalaman dari Prof. Mira sebaik-baiknya ya, untuk mahasiswa itu untuk meningkatkan pengetahuan ya, meluaskan wawasan, dan juga membuat jejaring yang lebih baik. Mudah-mudahan dengan demikian nanti mendapatkan masa depan yang sangat cerah. Sekian dari saya akhirnya sudah terfik. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam
Matur nuwun Pak Dekan.
Sama.
Thank you so much, Prof. Hamzah Fansuri, for your amazing opening remark. And now we are moving to the next agenda. The next agenda is the opening remark from Head of Actual Science. So to Mr. Dr. Suharjupri, MSI, all the time is yours.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Alhamdulillah, we always offer our prayer and greeting to the Prophet Muhammad SAW, dear Dean of the Faculty of Science and Data Analysis FSAD ITS, Prof. Mira Kartini, lecturers in the Department of Actuarial Science, invited guests, and all participants in the International Guest Lecture Series, Episode 5, in the Department of Actuarial Science, FSAD ITS. The speaker this time was very special, namely Professor Mira Kartini. Is a lecturer at the International Islamic University, Malaysia. The theme raised this time was about machine learning on financial industry, a very important theme, especially for the lecturer and the student of the Department of Actuarial Science, as well as everyone who attended this event. Hopefully, this event will be held smoothly, successfully, safely until the end. Be sure, stay healthy, be protected, and blessed by Allah SWT. Thank you for your presence, and apologies if there are any error of omissions. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Dr. Suharjupri, for the amazing opening remark. And now I would like to greet our moderator today. Hello, Bunia.
Halo, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah, Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How are you, Bu? Are you ready?
It's
Moderating this
fantastic.
session. Okay, so without further ado, let's proceed to the main agenda. To Bunia, our moderator, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Machine Learning and Financial Industry. This is the International Guest Lecture Series, Episode 5, by Department of Actuarial Science, Institut Teknologi 10 November. My name is Ramania Zwarini, and I'm going to be the moderator for today's discussion. Before we start, let me quickly go over today's agenda. We'll begin with a brief introduction to our guest speaker, followed by the presentation with the topic of machine learning of financial industry. After that, we will open the floor for question and discussion. Finally, we'll conclude with some closing remarks. Throughout this guest letter, all the audience can ask questions. If you have a question, you can ask your question during the Q&A session by raising your hand, or you can type your question in the chat box. Okay, and I'm going to read them for you. So this is meant to be an interactive discussion, so don't be hesitant to contribute with your insight. Okay, now let me introduce our guest speaker for today, who is already with us. We have Professor T.S. Dr. Mira Kartiwi. And I would like to greet Professor Mira Kartiwi first. Hello, Assalamualaikum.
Assalam.
How are you today, Professor Mira?
I'm good. Alhamdulillah. I'm good. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah, good. All right. Okay, I can see you. First, I would like to read your profile first, Professor Dr. Mira Kartiwi. Professor Mira graduated from Bachelor of Business Information System in 2001 and graduated Master of Information System in 2000 in University of Wollongong, Australia. Professor Mira Kartiwi pursued her PhD on Economics and Information System, also in University of Wollongong, Australia in 2009. So it is a quite long time, so no doubt she is an expert. Her expertise is in information, communication technology, and professional development. She also got a professional qualification for professional technologies in Lembaga Teknologi Malaysia in 2020. Professor Mira, currently a professor in International Islamic University Malaysia, Gombak Campus, and then she has a lot of publication. I have noted that Professor Mira has published around 52 books, 92 articles, and 2 monographs. Wow, that's a lot. And she also got many awards in international scope. In 2021, she got awarded for Model Educator certification from Model, and 2020 certified Microsoft Innovative Educator from Microsoft. This is in international scope. So, and then for national scope, she also got award in 2020, got silver medal, silver award, Malaysian Technology Expo 2020, and so on. There are so many awards from Professor Mira. If you want to more curious about Professor Mira, you can check her website, as you can see on the chat box. Let me share the website from. Okay. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Professor Mira Kartiwi. Professor Mira, you have around 60 minutes or 1 hour for the presentation. So please, are you going to present your PowerPoint by yourself? Okay, see. Thank you.
Yes, I will present from
Professor
myself.
Mira, all your time is yours.
I'm still not able to present. The host disabled participant screen. Okay. All right, should be okay now. Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Shall I start? Okay, so I assume I can start right away. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First, I would like to thank the Dean, which is Prof. Hamzah, who have given a very insightful opening speech. I think I'm always touched when the leader is actually highlighting a very important points, which is one of the key points that I would love to emphasize is on the humanizing education, humanizing technology. I mean, like the humanizing the use of technology. So I'm really honored. I'm really grateful that the dean himself emphasized that key points in his opening remarks. So thank you, Prof. Hamzah, and also I would like to acknowledge the hard work from the department, Dr. Suharjo Pri, the head of Department of Actuarial Science,
Dr. Ato, who have reached out to me since a few months ago. So it's very nice of the faculty to actually reach out to me much earlier and then give me some heads up on what are the things that I have to highlight in this particular lecture. So I'm very, very grateful. And also I would like to acknowledge the lecturers, the educators. We are very much the same in this. We are learning together, not so much that I'm the most expert. I think I have some experience working with projects, but I'm very sure there are things that I need to learn from all of you as well. So thank you so much to all lecturers and the students in these sessions. Just want to Is it clear or it's too? Is the audio clear? Yep. Can anyone please
It's
confirm?
clear.
Okay, good. Alhamdulillah. Okay, just in case the sound is not clear, please just buzz me or give me a hand signal. I will try to fix it. Okay, all right. All right, so thank you so much. I hope that kind of gave a fair introductions of how the session starts. So thank you again to everyone, Prof. Hamza, Dr. Suarjupri, Dr. Ato, and all the lecturers. Let me just get to the message, to the sessions right away. What was inspired the session was actually the conversations with Dr. Ato on what are the things that is needed for the sessions. And one of the feedback given is on the fact that most of the students will be from actuarial science, and then you would want to know about the machine learning, exactly like Prof. Hamza mentioned earlier. So I think I would just focus on that, and I have actually picked up some examples in which it's very specific to actuarial science. I'm worried if I refer to some of the examples that I have experienced in the past, it may not be relatable to your sessions or to your discipline. So I have actually picked up some specific example which I think you can very much relate to. So this is very much the topic, machine learning for financial industry, but we will zoom into your specific domain. Okay. Right, so these are the three items that I would highlight today. We will probably have slightly earlier than 1 hour because I prefer something that is more interactive. Maybe we could have more time for question and answer, so it will be a lot more meaningful. But this is basically the landscape of our discussions, of our discourse today. We will be talking about what is machine learning. We're going to have a look on how it actually relates to actuarial science. And then we can actually have a look on the challenges. It does have some challenges that you have to be aware of, especially when we are working with the kind of technologies which may actually disrupt how we actually works with the regulations and whatnot. So I think I would need to highlight all the sides of the technologies in order to give a fair overview of what machine learning is. Okay. So I'm very sure all of you, not only some of you, all of you have heard AI, artificial intelligence. I'm very sure you have also heard, perhaps, or maybe less people would have probably heard data mining. Okay. Text mining. Yep. Yes, no? Okay, so I can see some head nodding, so I'm very sure this is not new. All right. Anybody have heard deep learning? Nope. Okay, some no, some yes. All right, which is good, which is fine. I think this is why I think I have to make it a fair overview of what the term is, because people use it interchangeably, and the fact that people have been using interchangeably doesn't mean that they actually have used it in the right way. So AI, data mining, deep learning, text mining is very much the jargon, but on today's topic, on today's sessions, we specifically focus on the machine learning. So the question is, what is machine learning? And how it relates to all these jargons that people have actually been mentioning in a lot of literatures. Okay. If we are talking about machine learning, if I can put it in a simple term, I don't want to be into too definitive in the sense that it has to be like these definitions or no other definitions that comes with it. I don't prefer that kind of way in learning. I think when it comes to learning, what matters is that you should get the gist of it, and the gist of it of the machine learning is that it's very much driven by the ideas of computers can actually automatically identify patterns. So because you have abundance of data, so you have abundance of historical data that you have been collecting throughout the years, and most of the business, I'm very sure, especially in financial sectors, that's basically like the bread and butter. You're keeping the information about how the things works, right? Or how the transactions works, which is of course manifested in data. So now we would want to ask the computers to automatically identify if there's any pattern or relationship in data, which of course, by knowing the pattern, by knowing the relationship, we would be able to make a better decisions or predictions. So this is the whole ideas of machine learning in the first place. And then also we have to acknowledge that machine learning is actually a branch of artificial intelligence. So if I can put it this way, if I can put it in these directions, we actually part of AI. So what is AI? What is machine learning? Why people are so into AI today? Actually, when we're talking about AI, machine learning is part of it. So if we have machine learning here, AI is actually a bigger picture of the whole ecosystem. So with all additional technologies to enhance that, amplify that, machine learning can then be transformed into an AI application. So this is what we have been dealing. In fact, all of the AI, generative AI that we have been using or we are about to use in our life, that is very much triggered or based on some machine learning outputs. And what is the machine learning outputs? We have this algorithm. So basically, there are two outputs of the machine learning. We want to develop an algorithm. We would want to develop a models. When it comes to models, I'm very sure actuarial science, actuaries, which is in this case, all of you, are very much familiar with models, right? So we have been using kind of similar terms, but it's probably the level of implementation is just different, because in our case, probably the algorithm is in the form of coding. In your case, it's in the form of mathematical equations, but we refer to the same term, which is models. And so this is the whole notions. And we recently there's a breakthrough. There's a breakthrough in terms of how machine learning is actually being used even more extensive, and that's when the deep learning comes in. So this is all part of the same ecosystem. You don't have to worry. If you know that everything is actually comes from the same package, you know that you will not be using the term loosely, because all the things actually part of the same families, which is the AI families. All right. So when we are talking about machine learning in the first place, let me just give you a flavor of it. What does it covers? We, as in any domain that deals with pattern recognitions, we base everything on data. As an actuary yourself, you also base on all of the things in the science, in your actuary science, as data. Data is our foundation. So the same thing, machine learning is also using data as a foundation. Machine learning is also works in the same way. We learn from the data. So all those transactions, all those data that we have accumulated in the past years, we will want to actually figure out how this actually open or give us the insight. So this is where we actually learn from data. Data is a foundation. So we also learn from data, which is very much the same as what actuaries does. And also we have something called types of learning. So we have unsupervised learning, we have supervised learning, we have reinforced learning. So in this case, the kind of things, probably this would actually start to make a little bit unique for those who actually dealing with the machine learning, because we allow the because we allow the computers to actually automatically figure out the pattern, the relationship. There will be times where it will become somewhat a black box. And later on, I'm going to share with you. These are among the challenges that we actually have to deal with, which without the subject matter expert, it will be difficult for us to actually interpret or let alone make it explainable. And also we come up as a machine learning, as I mentioned earlier, we come up with an output which is in the form of algorithms and models. So still, I think we are in the same, very much in the same cluster where we actually dealing with the output of data in the form of algorithm and models. Some extensions to machine learning is that in machine learning, we have to, as data analyst, as a data scientist, we have to deal with the feature engineering. What does it does is actually, we have to be able to not only assess the quality of the data, we should be able to actually transform the data. We should be able to figure out which of the variables or which are the items that can actually be reused or reformed into something that is usable for our predictions. So these are some of the things that perhaps give a flavor to what a machine learning is all about. Any questions up to this point? Is there anything that is unclear? I'm happy if we don't have to wait until the half of the sessions if you want to ask earlier. Feel free to unmute and then just stop me. I prefer we have two-way discussions rather than one way. So feel free if anyone brave enough, which I'm encourage everyone to be brave enough to ask questions, to just stop me if it's something unclear. Is there anything unclear from these visuals? Is it okay so far? Yep. All right. Okay. So I think I'm not sure whether actuaries does this a lot. Do you do feature engineering as an actuarial science? So in actuarial science, in feature engineering, usually, like for example, you have a set of data, and then you don't have the specific attribute that you would want to use, but you have some other attributes. For example, you have attribute A, attribute B, but what you need is attribute C. We try to work around, see whether this A plus B is equal to C. So that's you transform, or you probably would want to recode, or we usually do something called data transformations, and we modify the attributes. Yes, sorry. Do you do this as an actuaries? You transform the data? Okay, great. Okay, so I see some head nodding. Okay, so you do this a lot. So as you can see in here, so when you learn a machine learning, it should not be something that is totally different from your domain. It is part of the domain. Anyone unmute the microphone? Feel free. Anyone? Or accidentally unmute. Okay, all right. So just again, Ibu Nia, if anyone would like to ask questions, by all means. I don't think we should wait until the session, the lecture, and I'm more than happy to help while we are still in the session.
Gak usah disimpan-simpan, langsung dilemparkan kepada Coach Mozia di sini yang ranknya udah mewakili immortal nih ranknya.
Okay, let's proceed to how machine learning relates to actuarial science. Again, as I said, I've been involved with a lot of projects, and these projects varies from financial sectors. I've helped financial sectors in the financial intelligence. For financial intelligence, I've helped the hospitals on identifying or optimizing the services, or optimizing the what do they call it usually, diagnosis. Okay, so all those kind of things during the pandemic. I've also involved in how the hospitals can actually optimize the services, because yes, COVID comes in, but all other illnesses are still there. Like for example, those who are actually having diabetic, they're still having diabetic when they have the COVID. So in this case, we still have to assist them. But how do the health sectors assist with that? So I have other projects that kind of deal with different sets of data, but because I did some homework, I need to know what actuarial science and in what what are the specific kind of data that actually you deal with. So it's so interesting that some of the things that you are handling is actually part of the projects that I have completed in the past as well. So I kind of get a sense of what you are dealing with. So when we are talking about this specifically into your domain, let's just have a look on a little bit on the historical context so that let me validate whether my understanding is correct. Feel free to interject if you feel that I have misunderstood the context. So when I go through some readings, actuaries actually focuses more on financial sectors, and then particularly in insurance industries, where you focus more on assessing the risk and calculate the premiums. You also work a lot as an actuary. You also work a lot with data when it comes to mortalities, because of course related to the previous one, which is assessing the risk and premiums. You really have to know about the mortality table, and also you work with some predictions. In this case, you would want to know the life expectancies, and then setting up the insurance rate. As an actuary, you also work a lot or played a significant role in designing pension systems, which is become especially important during the industrial revolution. Since the first industrial revolutions, you're very centered. Your role is very critical, very central. And as an actuary, the domain have helped a lot in figuring out what kind of the retirement benefits that the employees should have, the people should have when they're working in the company. So this is how important your role is. Just want to again recap some of the points why your domain, your sections, especially your department, is very important in the landscape of in the knowledge of data science, because we are very much like I'm very sure we're kind of like sister and brother, because we are working kind of similar with similar raw materials, which is data. And also, as an actuary, you rely on math, statistics, probability theory, which is very much what we do as a data analyst as well. However, I acknowledge the challenges that the domain actually experiencing at the moment, because there are some we call it as a perfect storm, where data has become abundant, things is easily recorded. Now your domain is very much challenged how to turn this traditional statistics to something that is much more valuable. And especially now we have a lot of issues with data becoming more complex and a lot of nonlinear relationships. And of course, with the IoT and whatnot, that adds up to the complexities. Hence, you have to adapt to the rapidly changing market conditions. When a lot of technology comes in, the variable becomes more and more varies and complex, as I said earlier. So this is how we kind of like, I can very much relate to your domain, because we are working on the same or similar, at least similar path. We are working on similar raw data. We are working on similar. We are trying to achieve similar output, which in this case either model or algorithm. So I can very much relate to what you have in the domain. But if I want to bring it further, so say I want to have it, I know the domain, but now how can this technology contributes to your domain? Keep in mind, machine learning actually have that combinations, as I've said earlier. It has some foundations in the data, but we also learn from data. We use techniques, which in this case, you also have a lot of techniques that you have used. So how it amplified the traditional statistics, it actually gives that kind of opportunities in which now we have the technology to actually able to spot patterns in a much more bigger scale. So when data becoming when the volume is becoming huge, so working with some traditional might not be as easy as it used to be. So in this case, this is where the machine learning can help you to amplify the impact of your data. So in other words, if I can say, machine learning has significantly enhanced the capabilities of actuaries in various aspects of insurance and risk management. And let me highlight some of these applications one by one, so at least you can get a flavor of it. Okay, so some of the example in which machine learning have contribute to actuarial science. As I said earlier, as an actuary, you actually works a lot with mortality modeling. So machine learning can actually contribute in terms of mortality modeling, which is in this case, machine learning can actually be used to develop mortality models that predict the likelihood of individuals passing away within a certain time frame. And these models help especially for insurance companies assessing the risk and set appropriate premium rates. Okay, so in this case, if you have, for example, sets of variables, now we can actually start to look at, is there any other potential variable that you have not included in the past, but potentially may contribute to the models? Then we can use the machine learning, because the machine learning can actually see the pattern, the factors that you may not see before. We can include it, but on the same time, we can see how much contributions the variable makes to the model. So this is one of the things that what the machine learning can do. Another thing that what machine learning can do into your domain is, for example, in the claim severity predictions. In this case, machine learning can actually help you in predicting the severity of the claims. This will help the insurers in reserving funds, because I think if you're working in insurance, you would want to know that the company still have fund for the future to secure future claims. Otherwise, your business will be in a jeopardy, right? So in this case, I think this machine learning can help you to find a way how to see the future, what kind of claims that would actually most likely happen in certain scenarios and whatnot. Yes, sorry. Any questions? Sorry.
You can go on, Professor Mira. I'm sorry, Professor Mira, your Zoom is mute. Yeah.
Okay. All right. How is it now? Is it okay?
It's okay. It's clear.
Great. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. So let me proceed. This is another examples in which you can actually use the machine learning. I'm not sure whether anybody have heard UBI, but I think I've seen, and in fact, I have experienced recently. I've just come back from US, and I found out that now it becomes one of the things that becomes a must in US. If you have to subscribe for certain, if you have to pay for certain premium for especially for life insurance, you might need to actually request to install a kind of camera where it actually tracks all of your driving behavior, and this will what we call as a usage-based insurance. I'm very sure you probably have heard it. So in this case, machine learning is integral part to UBI programs, because when you have that machines and it would want to predict, okay, so have you been driving safely or have you been driving recklessly? So if you have been driving recklessly on the road and they can find the kind of pattern that you have not been driving nicely on the road, then your premium might be higher than other people of the same age and of the same gender. So in this case, I think we have to see how this technology really kind of like embed into a lot of things that you have been doing all these whiles, and moving away from it may not be a good idea, because technology or people or users actually demand for such features, because they would want to make sure they are more safe and they actually are paying the right premium for the service that they, or for the assurance that they get from the insurance. So in other words, what I want to highlight is the telematics data from these sensors, vehicles, or IoT is being analyzed. So this will be the input for in which you can sort of come up with all the elements that you have been, or the models that you have been working for. Without the machine learning, dealing with all these data sets, it surely headache. So it's because it will not be structured. We call it as in the information system, we call it structured or unstructured data. A lot of this will not be structured, so it may not be easily analyzed without a machine learning, because we would want to see a lot of variables in this kind of to determine the driver behavior. Okay, so again, then the output of it, if someone is classified as reckless, or if someone classified as a good driver, then this data can then be used to your business as usual, which is calculating the premiums, whether a person is worth to pay lower or higher premium, and also the risk of giving such premiums to the person. The next one is on reserving and solvency analysis. Another thing that's usually people do when it comes to machine learning can actually be used to improve the accuracy or of reserve calculations, ensuring that insurance company have adequate funds and set aside for future claims. You can also use it to determine whether the insurance has sufficient capital to cover its obligations. So if you know that, I remember in 1999, during my undergraduate time, Wollongong was experienced a severe flood. Really severe flood. I remember I couldn't even reach out to my friends because the water level in front of my house, in front of my unit, is practically above 1.5 meters. So I won't be able to walk on the road. Practically, I would very much swept away by the water. So in this case, what I did was I tried to have a look what are the things that comes, and among others that was actually announced very frequently is on the numbers of people claiming for insurance. And it's very sad to say some of the insurance company actually collapsed because of it never happened before. Never happened in the history of Wollongong, because we are so close to the ocean. So flood is the last thing they would expect. So unfortunately, things happen. The water reserve on the mountain was broken, if I'm mistaken, and then it's the water flood to the nearest city. And I also happen this nearest city is the university. So that's when a lot of claims was actually filed, and then some insurance companies, as I said earlier, have to file for bankrupt, insolvency. Okay. Right. The last one is on, I think this is another thing that as an actuary, you should make yourself familiar now with the increase of cyber attack. Companies would want to have their business insured in terms of making sure if there's any cyber attack, the company is still running as usual. And I'm not sure how many incidents in Indonesia, but in Malaysia, we have quite a number of incidents recently where a big telco company was actually experiencing cyber attacks, and some of the user data is actually leaked to the public. So in this case, I think machine learning should be used to assess the risk of cyber attack in the businesses. And this involves analyzing the security measures, how well the company guarded the ecosystem of securities, looking at how many cyber attacks happened in the past. Usually they will not be able to disclose this to the public, but I'm very sure big cyber attack to the businesses, it doesn't happen only once. There has been a lot of attacks in the past, but probably they didn't disclose it to the public, because they would be able, these hackers, they would be able to find out the weaknesses of the networks, then only they can penetrate into a bigger scale. So I think as someone who works in the insurance, you should also be familiar with what kind of cyber attacks that the company have experienced in the past, to the level when things happen at the bigger scale, you know that this is something that you should be able to foresee before. Okay. All right. So those are basically how it relates to actuarial science. So it is not something new. It is not something that is unique to information system or to IT. This is a domain which is very much all domain can actually benefit from, including actuarial science. It's just that we have to really embrace that. We have to embrace the technology. Otherwise, we might think that this is too complicated for actuarial science. But actually, the domain, the sectors have been using it, and in fact, there's a dire need of people who have actuarial science, which is so good with all these regulations and all these sector-specific requirements. But you just an inch away from the technology, which is in this case machine learning. Okay, so any questions before I proceed? Is it okay so far? I know sometimes if I'm talking, I can be very fast, so I just want to make sure I'm not leaving anyone behind. Anyone?
I'm sorry, maybe the participant could question in the end of session.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I just hope that you won't forget your questions. So that's why it's good. If you would want to ask questions, by all means, feel free to unmute. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Let me just go through the last one in a bit. There's challenges though when it comes to machine learning in whatever domain. I'm specifically focusing on actuarial science today. One of the challenges that actually raised a lot is on data quality. As an actuarial science, I'm very sure you also, as an actuaries, I'm very sure that you also experience the same challenges here. When we have the data, but we are not really sure whether the data is actually something that is reliable for us to work with. So data quality is an issue basically in all domains. Okay, so what comes with data quality? We have issues with validity, accuracy, consistency, integrity, timeliness. Sorry, it's not timeless, but timeliness, completeness. So this is some of the things that actually comes with issues on working with data. So as an actuaries, as a data scientist, we do have the same need of high quality data, which is essential for us to make an accurate machine learning models. And of course, actuaries, you also need to ensure that the data cleanliness and completeness. I think we are very much the same on this, right? We are relying on data quality, correct? Yeah, okay. And some of the things that also comes with machine learning, I would suggest that you also start to look at on the model transparency. Keep in mind, I'm not sure whether you have garbage in, garbage out. Okay, so when we are working with a model, often when it comes to machine learning, often the issue is it becomes a black box. We don't know what is happening inside, and suddenly we got an algorithm saying that this variable is actually the most important. So in this case, one of the things that you have to think into account when you're working with machine learning, you have to be able to interpret. You have to be able to interpret the model, because otherwise it will become a challenge for any field basically. And especially if you have to say you have a model and you have to explain that this is the model with high accuracy, you're going to explain it to policymaker, but you have no idea what is actually inside, how the algorithm is actually constructed. So in this case, this is one of the challenges for all of the domain, including actuarial science. Would you be able to interpret the models? Would you be able to highlight the insight, the key points that the end user, in this case, the policymaker, the business people, would be able to understand, okay, so if you come up with this algorithm, how do you actually construct this model? How do you actually construct this algorithm? What leads into that this variable becomes the most important one? So I think this is one of the things that you should be aware of. And there's also a notions where algorithm becomes a curse of the knowledge. I'm not sure whether you have heard this before, but there is in 2019 there is a case where Apple's credit card was actually under fire because of a woman a woman received 1/20th the credit limit offered to her husband. So if her husband getting certain amount, the wife can only get 1/20th, which is so low. And when the woman complained, the Apple representative reported that I don't know why, but I swear we are not discriminating. It's just the algorithm. This is the issues when we have an algorithm, but we were not able to understand how it works. Why women get 1/20th of the husband? Why the wife get 1/20th of the husband? By right, we should be able to explain it. This is the rules. This is the policies. But because of there's no policy and the algorithm was not actually being made clear to the staff, we just based on this excuse. Sorry, I don't know, but this is the algorithm, which is unacceptable. So this is another issue, the curse of the knowledge, where we cannot really explain how the algorithm works, which should not be the case. Should not be the case. The next one is another on the model transparency. We also have to be mindful when we are working with machine learning. Sometimes it has so much, we call it as overfitting, when the model becomes so complex and you are making so many mistakes. This is what we call as overfitting. So when the model is overfitting, we have to realize as a human, we have something called as limit to our cognitive load. And that's when a theory by Miller, he said that be aware of cognitive load theory, which has shown that human can only comprehend models with up to about 7 rules, plus minus 2, if I'm mistaken, in some of the experiments, which is making it functionally impossible for observers to explain the decision made by black box system. So in this case, we have to be careful when you come up with algorithm using a machine learning and you have such high accuracy. The first thing that you have to check, would you be able to comprehend it? Would you be able to explain it? So that's the on-off button. It should not be, okay, so it sounds like great. We have accuracy of 99% of predicting future behavior, and suddenly when things come up in the screen, you have no idea, you have no clue what are the factors that actually led to such predictions. We have to be careful with this, and we have to keep thinking that's the complexity of the model means that the model makes the model more accurate. In most cases, it is not, especially if the model experienced from overfitting. Some other things that actuaries, I think you should also do is on ethical considerations when you're working with machine learning. This is some of the examples that come very profoundly in a lot of articles, magazines articles, newspaper articles. There are some tendency where machine learning has been used as inappropriately. It becomes a tool for discriminations against certain race or certain gender or certain economic status. So there are a lot of highlights or insights on how to make sure that people should not be treated unequally, or people should not be treated disrespectfully because of some of the factors, which perhaps because of the bias in your data, it highlights the risk of certain variables that I mentioned earlier. So in this case, the articles highlight as insurance, you have as insurers increase their dependency on artificial intelligence, which of course in this case is machine learning, understanding and eradicating inequality in predictive modeling, and machine learning is more important than ever. So you will somehow, I'm very sure, you will be pushed you will be geared towards the use of technology. I'm very sure because a lot of sectors have using this. Okay, so apparently someone have accidentally turned on the mic. Okay, all right. I'm very sure when you're working in a company, you will have to get a taste of this technology because I know I've been working with some financial sectors I've mentioned earlier. A lot of them, they have actually used this because they want to optimize the processes, the process within the company. So you will be pushed, you will be face a lot of this dilemma in the future. But I think you have to be prepared for it, and you have to make sure that you are equipped with the right mindset to deal with the ethical considerations. Another thing is, as an actuary, you will also involve with the pension fund management. Another part of ethical considerations is investment decisions. So in this case, when you're working with pension fund management, keep in mind that you also have to think about the environmental, social, and governance, where the money should be invested. And as when you are leading or when you are approaching the individuals to make investment, I think you also need to know there are some companies who actually lead to a negative social or environmental impact. So by right, you should be able to know that as person in the domain, you should be able to know the ethical considerations when selecting fund for when selecting companies for investment decisions. So this is some of later on I will share these slides in which you have all the link to the article. So this is actually come from Wharton Business School, and the previous one actually comes from Business Insider. So I have put in some articles for you to have a look on, and perhaps you can discuss. I would suggest perhaps debate in the class, see whether you can come up with this approach. Okay. It's okay. It happens all the time when we have Zoom, so no worries. Okay. Last but not least, I want you to be conscious as well when it comes to regulatory compliance. Okay. I want you to be mindful when it comes to regulatory compliance. As someone that is working in financial industries, we use a lot of machine learning, especially to assess the credit worthiness, right? You want to apply for home loan, car loan, or any kind of financing products from the financial sectors. The bank will have to do some credit worthiness. So in this case, as actuaries that will be working in the financial sectors, you have to be mindful of the regulatory compliance. In this case, if these models are found to be discriminate against certain demographic, such as race or gender, and do not comply with fair lending regulations, we have a lot of this. If you have a look in recent newspapers, there's so many disadvantaged entities, disadvantaged race, disadvantaged gender that were not able to get certain financing products and certain financial assistance from financial sectors simply because the kind of data sets that they have been using to develop the model were not actually the good quality data, or it suffers from a lot of biases. So in this case, I think you have to be careful as the actuaries to make sure that you are aware what are the regulatory compliance that you have to abide. Otherwise, you might actually end up with a very discriminating model that at the end of the day, you might actually be sued, or you will have to pay certain penalties because of the model was not complied with the regulatory compliance. It's not complied with the regulations. Okay. Last but not least, I just want to highlight on the explainable AI. Okay. So this is one of the things that we do in the domain now. Seeing that there's so many things that have been produced with the machine learning, with the AI, but a lot of this is black box. Black box in the sense, as I mentioned earlier, you have the algorithm, you have the model, but you were not able to explain it. So now people in the domain are really into explainable AI. You would need, or in fact, not you would need, you must be able to explain your algorithm. Okay, so unfortunately, there are still a lot of resistance from certain sectors, but I think in general, people have been kind of subscribe to the ideas that yes, it has to be able to be explained. So what explainable AI is, it is actually an emerging field within the AI, intelligence and machine learning that focuses on making decisions, making processes of AI models, including machine learning algorithm, to be more transparent, as we've discussed earlier. So the issues that we've discussed earlier when it comes to the concern, XAI will actually trying to address those. So more transparent, more interpretable, more easier to understand to humans. So these are the requirements that if you are working with, when you are working with machine learning or AI, you should be able to produce this kind of output. Not only the algorithm has to be transparent, the algorithm has to be interpretable, the algorithm should be able to be understood by human. Okay, just to conclude, where can XAI be placed? Usually XAI will actually be implemented in multiple stages. So for example, you can actually implement the AI in the pre-modeling, where we can actually use a lot of effort on making sure we understood the data by doing a lot of exploratory data analysis or data set description standardizations, data set summarizations, explainable feature engineering. So this is a lot of effort on the pre-modeling. Some entities have tried to ensure that not only on the pre-modeling, you should also make sure that during the model development, you put some effort on it. So in this case, some of the effort is on the model, explainable model, the hybrid models, joint predictions, and so on and so forth. So these are some of the things that people do, making sure that the AI is explainable, the machine learning is explainable in the times of development. Post-modeling, once you have the models, what are the things that needs to be checked is on whether you have some of the methodologies that you can use. For example, here we are trying to extract explanations. Can we comprehend the values of the model? So what they will use, the perturbations or the backward propagations, activation, optimization. So these are some of the methodologies. I'm not sure whether you use this in actuaries, but what I'm trying to explain here, make sure that whatever models, if you are comfortable using, or if you have to, in fact, use machine learning, start to think that you should not just jump in and then get into the model right away. First thing that you have to emphasize is on whether I have understood the data properly. So the pre-modeling, whether I developed the model properly, that is on explainable modeling, whether I would be able to highlight the insights to the end user properly, that is on post-modeling explainability. So all should be encompasses in the process of the machine learning usage, despite whichever kind of sectors you will be using it for. Okay, so I think this would be all to trigger our discussions. I will be more than happy to assist on any questions post this. Okay, so I think that we all, this is my email address if you would want to reach out to me through email. Otherwise, feel free to ask the questions now. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor, for your insight. Thank you very much. Maybe for the participants, could question in the text box or could raise hand.
If anyone would like to ask in Bahasa Indonesia, it's also fine. I understand, don't worry.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I can see the raise hand from Denisa.
Mm-hmm.
Please.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Yes.
Okay, maybe thank you for the opportunity. Maybe I'll ask like about two questions regarding the material given before. As for the first one, like we know that machine learning always work automatically, and like it gives us wider opportunity to recognize like wider variety of events, of maybe unusual events that we could not recognize when we are using like traditional method. What I am about to ask is where it is need to for us to reassess our algorithm of the machine learning, and if it is needed, when is the suitable time to reassess the algorithm? Maybe maybe it is must to reassess it monthly, or maybe we need to reassess it daily. So when is or maybe we like need to reassess it when there is like a problem, or maybe like claim by our customer, uh like the discrimination case before, or like how. And the second question I'm about to ask is it's regarding a claim about discrimination. Like, as what I know in Indonesia, claim about discrimination sometimes can be like only a misunderstanding. Like, it is possible for machine learning to analyze whether a discrimination claim is true, or maybe it is just a misunderstanding between the customer and our regulation. Maybe that's all from me. Thank you.
Shall I address this one first, or do you want to collect other questions first?
Maybe you can answer first, Professor.
Okay. All right. Okay, sure. I think this is a very good questions. I love these questions, especially when it comes to when we have to reassess the algorithm. I have these kind of thoughts. Probably it's unpopular thoughts, because a lot of people usually in my domain, they will not be comfortable doing this because it will make them to relook a lot of things, or redo a lot of hard work. But I have this kind of principle that if it's not true, if you still have doubt, is as an analyst, you still have doubt, you should not convey this to the end user. You should believe on what you know, what you found, then only you convey that to the end user, which in this case, whether that is a policymaker or a business people, is irrelevant of who they are, but it's about who we are, that we have to make sure we know what we are conveying. So we do experience times where we have to reassess the algorithm, but mostly because of when we found the algorithm, there are certain elements which kind of like against the conventional belief. So if you have been having a lot of, especially as in domain expert, if you're working, say you're working with insurance sectors, and those people who have been in the sector for quite sometimes, they know, they have a tacit knowledge, right? They have the knowledge which you cannot see it in the book, but they can explain it. It becomes part of their practice. So when they look at all these findings, and they said, okay, so this is different from what I have been experiencing, and they put doubt on our algorithm. This is not the end user. This is a subject matter expert, which is part of our team. I will not allow that to happen. I will not allow this algorithm to roll out until everyone in the room agreed. It has to be consensual, especially with the subject matter expert, because they've been doing this many years. To be a subject matter expert, they must be at least in the domain for more than 20 years. So for us to see the data and say, oh no, what you've been doing is wrong, I think that is not fair. So we redo. Unfortunately, we have to recheck a lot of data sets. We have to see whether we have done something incorrectly when it comes to data transformations. And to my surprise, apparently some of the data quality issues we have not addressed. So that is possible when the algorithm goes haywire, or when the algorithm goes in the opposite directions to our expectations. Usually, the pre-processing was not done carefully, especially if you have a huge team and you separate the kind of data sets. Possibly people have not been, there's tendency people probably didn't give their 100% on the process. So things become unexpectedly haywire. So yeah, at what stage, if you feel that the data was, or if you feel that the algorithm against the conventional belief, against the subject matter expert, try to clarify the error first, try to make sure everything is clear first, and reassess not only on the algorithm per se, but looking at on the data set as well. See whether any data quality issues that you have not addressed. Does it answer your questions?
Can I have like a follow-up question?
Mm-hmm.
What if the condition is like this? So like we already publish our algorithm to the system, and like in the middle of that algorithm execution, we found like these things that make us need to reassess the algorithm. But yeah, we already published it. Of course, like we already published the regulation. Maybe our customer already
Okay.
our first regulation, like
Yeah.
how we do the things that like change, make a huge change in our model interpretation, like how we communicate it with our customers.
Okay. Yeah. I think if this is the reason why preventions is better than corrective actions, right? So this is, I think, the first mindset that we have to have in mind is not to roll out any algorithm that we still have doubt. I think that's clear. But what happens if we have accidentally convey this to the public, convey this to the stakeholders, and then it has been manifested into policies? Unfortunately, as bad as it sounds, corrective actions need to be in place, especially if those related to the discriminative actions and whatnot. Then corrective actions has to be in place. I've seen a lot of this, especially in some countries in the West, and they are very careful with this. So in this case, they have to retract. I'm not sure whether you have heard, they have to retract some of the policies, some of the regulations, because it's further examined in terms of its effectiveness. So yeah, corrective actions will be a lot more expensive. That's why I would suggest as actuaries, as a data analyst, we have to abide to our principle, not to roll out things that we still actually misunderstanding or through discriminations. I think another thing that you have to really assess is on the source behind the data. Sometimes when we are looking at it with the data sets, if the data comes from multiple divisions, from multiple departments, and you are not sure whether the people in all departments, and you are not sure if the people in different departments really understood the process of data quality, what is the problem is potentially we miss out some stories behind the data. Let me just give you some example. I have been working with I've been working with the rating of the company, whether they will be able to sustain or not. So whether the company will make profit or they will be bankrupt or things like that. So the thing is, the data sets that I have is very geared towards the high rating company, and I have very small numbers of the company that bankrupt. So in this case, when I make a machine learning, the data bias towards the high performance company, right? So everything will be more likely to rate it higher. So when I want to invest, even the company is not doing well, potentially they will be rated higher, which is not fair. As an investor, it's not fair, right? Because you know that some of this company might not actually be performing well, but the machine were not able to learn enough from what are the kind of company that will go bankrupt, because we don't have some enough samples. So in this case, your algorithm biased towards the high performance. So in this case, you will make discriminations against some of the companies who possibly, or some discriminations, in this case, discriminations or misinformations that you will tell your client, okay, so just invest in this company, but apparently that company is among the company that will actually go bankrupt. So in this case, I think we have to be careful. If you are worried with discriminations, one of the things, check the story behind the data, whether you have ample size to get the algorithm works, where to make the machine learn from all types of data sets. If it's too biased towards certain kind of category, potentially your algorithm will not doing well. Although the accuracy is high, your algorithm tend to be discriminatory. So discriminations tend to happen if your data sets is not proportionally fair. Does it answer your questions? Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. I see the hand, one more hand.
Okay,
Sister.
thank you, Denisa. Yeah, maybe Christine, you can go, please.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Christine. I'm from the Batch 2020. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for the presentation itself, Professor Maria. It's very interesting topics here. But actually, my questions is quite similar with the previous one asked by the Denisha. Like, what will be the period for you to reassess the model itself? Because moreover, when we talk about in the financial industry, especially in like financial markets, it's very dynamic. Like what I'm sort of like for this past years after the COVID-19, it's like the world is evolving very fast, and a lot of things, a lot of events that could occur that could change the data itself, or from the previous data, the information that we got could be like I would say it's not that relevant anymore. Like, have you ever experienced like when you work with the data itself in the machine learning process, when you get the informations, however, it's not quite relevant with the situations now, and you have to change all the process itself from the very start. And how would you like compensate with that?
Thank you so much, Kristen. Yes, that's very relevant to my, it's good questions and very relevant to my experience last time helping one of the banks doing financial intelligence. It's a very daunting task because financial intelligence means that you have to dig into people data and transactions and whatnot, right? So in this case, when I look at that and the kind of processes that actually they've been doing is somewhat outdated, if I can put it that way, because we do have a lot of technologies that can actually make a lot of things more optimized. So I have to convince, unfortunately, Christine, which I'm very sure you're probably familiar with, managing change. It's not easy to make the change, right? Especially financial sectors, you have a lot of regulations that you have to abide with, a lot of not only one regulations, but also sets of regulations that you have to abide with. So, moving away from one might trap you on the other sides of the end. So in this case, I think sometimes it is, I can understand the challenges that they've experienced, but it is important for financial sectors to also aware that doing things as usual will not be the norms here. So we have to do a lot of things unusual, which, for example, just now, as I mentioned earlier, when it comes to financial intelligence, you are digging into people's transactions, and some of them might be so personal. And when we want to dig those informations, relying on so one of the things that I try to make things clear to some of these people is that they have been relying on social media. Okay, so to triangulate the information to get they have been relying on social medias. But now I what I want to make it clear is that sometimes one pause or two pause in social media should not be portraying the whole series of the people's life. So I propose, we have a lot of things called text mining. So I propose a different approach. So why don't you do text mining? So maybe the person is kind of like unfriendly on Facebook, but have a look on other social media, see whether probably that was not the platform that they actually intensively use. So we analyze the pattern, we analyze the behavior, we analyze through different kind of things, and technology is there. So no, you are not have to visit every post and check. Yeah, no, this is bad, this is good. No, this is not the day. This is not the age of time that we're going to check manually. We can extract that information. We pull that into analytics, into text mining analytics, and we can get a history. We can get a better story of the person. So to change that perspective, it's not something that is popular in financial sectors, because everything has to be like specific, right? But in data analytics, we cannot be just zoom into one transactions. We have to step back and look at the bigger pictures. That's when I kind of like having a hard time, but eventually, because the project runs for 3 months, we don't have enough time to change the mindset, but we left with some legacy. We give a use cases. So if I have to do things that you do, this is how I would do it. So I heard that they have adopted it now. It takes time for financial sectors to change, but you just need to show some use cases to show that it actually helped them to do the jobs better. Yeah, does it answer your questions?
Actually, I'm more curious on like and what extent like you work with people with the other stakeholders. I believe like there must be sometimes where we could have the different opinions with each other because of like maybe it's just not their subject. They cannot see what we see, but yeah, it answers a lot about about my curiosity about like the working process is.
Thank you. But also, I would like to highlight, Christine, working in any industries, you have to work interdisciplinary, right? Sometimes you work with people from your disciplines, and yet you still have to convince the ideas. So I think one of the things that I would suggest my juniors to do is learn how to do active listening. So sometimes it's not because they against the technology, it's because they worried they become dispensable. So I think we have to also understand the psychology behind the rhetoric that they raise in the meetings and whatnot. So I think that comes with experience, but I'm very sure soon that you will be going to the industry, you will see a lot more this dynamic rather than the dynamic on the domain itself. So yeah. Okay. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Mer.
Welcome. Okay, welcome. And is there anyone else?
Is there anyone else? Please feel free to drop your question. Maybe you can raise your hand or drop the question in the chat box. Professor Mira, if I could ask question, may I? Yeah. Actually, I'm a little bit curious. As you can see from your presentation, we know that machine learning has many benefits, such as for usage-based insurance from your presentation, and then cyber risk assessment, and then etc. But in other ways, machine learning could be a curse, such as you say that Apple's credit case. So, what do you think about that? How can we, as humans, can be wise using machine learning and not be fooled or become lazy by the sophisticated and the smartest of the machine? That's my question. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you. If I can get this correctly, so how to make sure that the machine learning serve its purpose and not to kind of degrade the values of the human that works with the machine. Is that what you were saying?
Yes, something like
Yeah,
that.
okay. All right. So in a way, as with any technology, I've been doing a lot of trainings on AI, on machine learning, on whatever technology that comes with it. Is one of the things that I always emphasize, which is I also emphasized earlier in this session, is the domain expert is us, the human. Machine is just the tools. I always emphasize this to my students as well. The tools is good if it's in the hand of the expert, but the fool with the tools still a fool. So if the person doesn't know how to use the tools, then that's basically the tools will drive the fools. The tools will actually do, or possibly they will not do the magic. So in this case, I think try to equip ourselves with a lot of references to understand, again, to explain the algorithm better, to understand the algorithm, the kind of insights that the algorithm will actually highlight. The issue is we do have, I mean, like, I've been working with a lot of projects with the people that are so resistant to know that there are things have changed, things have evolved. How do we know it's evolved? Because we read, we read a lot of newspapers. So one of the key points that I would emphasize to, especially to the young ones, is never stop reading. Read as much as you can, especially when it comes to newspapers. There's a lot of online newspapers that easily accessible, and read the newspapers with quality. So usually I would actually go through certain references that I would find it with quality. How do I know it's quality? Because they would refer to some information, some data sets that I can actually check the accuracy. If it's coming out of a thin air, I don't think that is something that is reliable. So usually I would try to find references that I can triangulate, or I can check, I can verify. Usually the word is verify. I can verify the information. So I think that is one of the things that I would suggest. No, machine learning will not replace anyone. It will just replace the people who are confined or comfortable with the kind of processes even before the machine learning comes in. So I think, no, you shouldn't be worried. I don't think anyone should be worried by AI or machine learning. As long as you learn faster than the machine. What the machine can do is just detect pattern, summarize. What ChatGPT do is just summarize what they read. But can they make decisions in the same way as human? I don't think. Emotions is not there, and clearly ChatGPT put that clearly. They don't have emotions, they don't have feelings. So we have a full package. We should make the decisions better. I think, yeah. So I think that would kind of sum up. We will not be lazier. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Mira. Last but not least, could you give us any advice or tips for our audience who want to learn more about this topic, machine learning, or get involved in this field, actually in the actuarial science? Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of white papers. The one that I shared with, later on, I'm going to share with you the slides. They have some links. Those are some of the references that I usually refer to. So I would suggest maybe you can go through those references. And some of the domain that actually use a lot of data from insurance, which is actually what actuaries refer to, is Kaggle. I'm not sure whether you have heard this. Let me just type Kaggle. So Kaggle is again another data repositories which people actually play around with the data. Some people play with the data, some people play with the insights. So I think this is another thing that perhaps you can get into. Another one is towards data science. Again, it comes from many domains. I'm very sure a lot of data on insurance is there. So I think these are some of the data points and some of the references for everyone to start jumping into the bandwagon. And you can have a look, see whether machine learning is something that would entice you to learn more. So I would suggest everyone, be that you like it, you don't like it, just have a try first. And then see whether once you have gone through all these references, you probably, I'm very sure you'll be enticed to learn more because they have done a lot. And some of these people even comes from industry themselves. So I think you will learn a lot. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Mira.
My pleasure.
Maybe, is there any question for other participants? Don't be shy. Just raise your hand or you can drop your question in the chat box. We still have time for this sector. Professor Mira, may I ask again?
Okay, sure.
You not mind. Uh, First of all, how did you become interested, especially in this topic, machine learning?
Okay.
What motivated you to pursue this field of study and researchers?
Okay. I love that. I love data since I'm my undergraduate. I love so much the course related to data, database especially. So from the moment that I'm working with data sets, working with data, designing a database and whatnot. So it becomes something that really motivates me. And what is interesting when I delve into machine learning is because of a lot of projects that I do. I'm working with hospitals, with banks, with construction industries. So I realize when I work with data, I can work with a lot of people. I can help a lot of companies. So that motivates me even further to learn and try to excel in the field because when you work with different people, different sectors, you learn. Okay, so you work more, you learn more. So I think this is one of the blessed that I think I chose data in the beginning because now I become a learner for life. I learn from everyone. So alhamdulillah. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, such a wonderful Professor Mira.
Mashallah.
Mashallah. Okay, I think that's all.
Okay.
One last time, is there any question from other participant? I think that's all. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Okay.
Mira Kartiwi, for your excellent answer and for sharing your knowledge and experience with us. To summarize the main point from your presentation, you have explained to us about how machine learning can be applied in actuarial science, and then how machine learning can be used in risk insurance, reserving, and solvency analysis, and how machine learning can be used wisely. And you have taught me how to face some problems that sometimes, such as discrimination, and then the algorithm that usually different from the real life situation. And then thank you so much for your presentation. And thank you for joining with us. Let's give a big round of applause to Professor Mira Kartiwi. Everyone, please. Okay. Okay, once again, thank you so much for Professor Mira and also for the all audience. Thank you so much for being a wonderful participant during this session. We also had some lively and interesting discussion and question from the audience. Thank you for your active involvement and contribution. We hope you have enjoyed this guest lecture and gained some valuable knowledge and inspiration from our speaker. Hopefully to see you again real soon. And then I think that's all from me. I return to MC, Miss Sun.
Okay, thank you so much, Ma'am Nia. Also, thank you so much, Professor Mira Kartiwi, for the very amazing lecture session today. Can give applause to Prof. Mira and Bunia for today's amazing session. And furthermore, we would like to present a certificate awarding for our honorable speaker. Once again, thank you so much, Prof. And to Mr. Sardupri, I would like to invite you to present the certificate. Okay, I would like to invite Mr.
Okay,
Muhammad.
this is certificate for Prof. Mera Kartiwi. I will to say thank you
so much.
very much.
Thank you.
All of yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
empty.
Okay, I'll counting down 3, 2, 1. Once again, 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prof.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Sorry, I have to jump off to another meeting. So thank you so much. All the best. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. All the best.
Okay, finally we have reached the end of today's agenda, and we sincerely apologize if there is any mistakes we may have made in presenting as Master of Ceremony and Committee. Thank you again, Prof. Mira Kartiwi, and all participants for the attention and cooperation. Before we end the agenda, I would like to inform you to fill the attendance form. We have sent it in the chat room. And once again, thank you so much for all participants. I'm Siska Widya Sundari. I would like to say thank you for attending our International Guest Lecture Series episode 5 on today. Good afternoon, and we will see you again soon on the next agenda. Thank you.
Surabaya merupakan kota terbesar